If you'd like to look at different kinds of shears and know how to sharpen them, I've got some interesting ones here for you today. These are the Vern Shears. And you see they're double shears. And I'll tell you a little story about these. Kind of interesting story. Involves DHL and my friend Gilberto from Miami. And a little story about our company. So listen to the story, and then I'll get into some of the challenges of sharpening these Vern shears. We moved our office about 5 years ago, and I'm finding out that we had a customer that I sharpened his shears 10 years ago. They sent them to me. He liked my sharpening so much that he sent them to me to be sharpened. I don't know if they've been sharpened in the last 10 years. I don't know how much he uses them. Did he say they'd ever been sharpened, Misty?
I don't think he said he's haven't sharpened since.
Yeah, 10 years ago. So we'll talk about how he got away with that. But Gilberto, and I'll show his picture here, he's fairly famous. He does hair replacement, hair extensions, and you see this is what he looks like without his hair, and this is what he looks like with his hair. And he was always, we would connect at the hair shows because some of you know my husband used to wear a toupee, and, a unit. They don't use the word toupee. It's a hair replacement unit. Anyway, so we met him at the shows and we would talk about the units. And Gilberto bought these shears a number of years ago, and I just went on the internet to look for them. When these came out, back to the DHL. I'm sorry, I'm really rambling today. We've got the hair show this weekend, and I'm having trouble stay on track. I do not multitask well, so excuse me for that. But anyway, you see all this stuff marked on this DHL package. He sent this to our old address, which is only a parking lot now. They tore it down, and that's part of the downtown Snellville. And that's why he moved out, 7 miles further out to Loganville, a little bit further from the middle of Atlanta, but not that far out. Well, they found us, and here's the shears. And these shears go together. Let's see if I can pull them apart like this. There's a magnet in here, pretty strong magnet. So you can put them together like this so that you can cut the hair and thin it at the same time. So you want to make sure that you're not cutting this way, because then you would cut the hair before you thinned it. And this works pretty good on hair extensions, artificial hair, and then you can put it together that way. So if you were cutting like so, you would thin the last 1/4 inch. So what makes these interesting is that we came out with a shear like that a number of years ago. And it had a special attachment at the screw, and there's an attachment at the finger rest that held it together. And we had a thinning shear and a regular shear, and they didn't sell well. They didn't sell well at all. Then also, let me find this one over here. The Arias Eichert Company came out with this one, which I think I've got some videos. I'll put the link below on how to sharpen these, which is different than sharpening this one. And those had like thinning shears or regular shears or whatever, and it was a fad. There's fads that come and go, and I'm sure this will come back. Unfortunately, when we did it, we were ahead of the fad. And so we had already discontinued it when Vern came out with these, and everybody thought this was the hottest thing out there. And I remember being at a small hair show, and I think that's where I sharpened for Gilberto. It was in South Georgia, and it wasn't really big enough to have more than one shear company. And they were there, and all their top educators were using Vern. And I was like, really? But their website doesn't come up. And I found them on Alibaba. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's really selling them or not. But everything, especially in the beauty industry, goes through its fads and its phases, So let's talk about sharpening these. And I guess I've sharpened them before because he said I had. Yeah, this doesn't look like my sharpening. So let's take a look at it, and we'll see what the story is on these shears. So the Vern Shears, first of all, they have a wonky looking screw. Looks like a normal screw here, but then it looks like an itty bitty screw over there. It's not. It's going to be a split screw. So I'm going to use just a regular screwdriver to take these apart. Actually, I like Susanna's that she made for me, my little UFO SUFO tool, because it kind of even gives me better torque for taking things apart. And the reason I'm going to take them apart is in order to do the ride line. I know I had someone recently ask me, what's the ride line? Yeah, that's not my sharpening, because you can see that ride line is almost entirely gone. I'm going to have to reestablish that ride line. Alright, so let's take them apart. And Gilberto is from Miami, which goes to show there's people in Miami that are having to send the shears to Georgia to get them sharpened. I get more mail-in sharpening than I really want. I really would rather you do it locally. But what would I shoot videos with if you didn't send me shears to sharpen? Because teaching and shooting videos are my real love here. And sitting in the morning chatting with Misty, talking about my grandkids. Got a pretty good life. Even better than the business is my husband. Got a good one there. And I can't take credit for that. God and his Gene's persuasiveness in talking me into marrying him. Okay, there's the screw is out. There's no internal clicker plate. There's like a little rubber plastic washer. Now, I know these come from Taiwan, and one of the characteristics of most of the Taiwan shears I've seen is this little writing inside here. That's because they carry them from one to the other. The other characteristics about Taiwan shears is this crisp ledge, and a lot of times that will indicate to me that these are possibly a cast shear, but I don't know if you can see this in the light. I'm going to really zoom in here. Do you see that line right here where it changes color? Right there. That's an indication the handle and the blade are two different metals. So now that I'm getting into these are extremely dull. I mean, it's like no edge on them at all. So someone has sharpened them really crazy. So this is 1000 grit stone. I've got this colored in red, and I'm going to have to reestablish the ride line. I'm going to have to use something really aggressive to get any kind of edge. Now, I know Gilberto, he's cutting primarily hair extensions and artificial hair, or even if it's real hair and it's like on a hair piece, a lot of times that's Indian hair that's been donated to idols or whatever, and then they're sold in the United States and they make wigs out of them or extensions or what have you. And it's just really, really coarse hair. Sometimes it's been processed in such a way that it's just super hard on your shears. I'm not saying don't use your good shears on them, but just know that as a hairstylist or a barber, if you're doing that kind of cutting, you're going to have a better steel, and you're going to have your shears sharpened more often. As a sharpener, I tend to put a little blunter angle, not as blunt as what's on here, but I'll put a blunter angle on them because I know he's going to need to have them sharpened more often, and I would think he's not slide cutting. I wouldn't think these shears are designed for slide cutting. Okay, so I've got a ride line. I don't like the way it's creeping up the back here. Ride line should be that shiny line that comes around here, around, and stops there. I've got some other videos explaining why it's only on the cutting edge, but it's creeping up the back. That's not my fault. I'm not taking that. So I'm going to use my Cymac Junior today. I just like to switch around, stay in practice with both. My preference is the HD over here. But I've got this one set up here. This is a worn 180 grid. It's Velcro. And new thing I've been doing since I'm just like in the last couple of weeks since I've been training, I'm going to turn the light on here, is I'll turn this on slow and I'll make a line, and this helps people when they're learning. I'll make a line here. Oops. I want to get all the way around, and then maybe another line about here. The reason why I want you, when you're sharpening, to concentrate on what's touching within these lines. And I apologize for my messy area here. I just tend to operate that way. What can I say? So I'm going to set my clamp on either 35 or 40. Normally I would do 40, but I'm pushing it down to 35 just because the angle on it already is so blunt. So I'm coming here, I'm going to stand up because I don't want the dust blowing at me. And I'm concentrating on what's in that area here. This will take care of itself. The tip usually takes care of itself. If I'm concentrating on the center. And my finger can kind of touch the center area. By having the center area to work at, it keeps you from doing too much of the tip and too much of the back. Yeah, I'm not anywhere near the edge. You know. It's crazy. These are so blunt. Wouldn't have been able to cut paper with them. Somebody didn't know what they were doing. Oh, and they're getting hot too. Yeah, not even close to the edge. And this is the coarsest grit I've got. I don't want to get dirty, but I'll give a little squirt. And you can do a slight rock. Don't overdo it to get the tip and the back. But your concentration is here. And I'm not really pressing on it. I'm just kind of letting the machine do the work. If you hear the sound, you hear that? That means I'm doing it wrong. If you hear the sound like that, I'm doing it wrong. I want that nice, scratchy sound. So a lot of times if I'm training someone, I can sit over in the corner and listen to them and say, you're not doing it right. I'm nowhere near the edge. This is crazy. This is the 180 in the blue film. I think this 100 micron and the 3M might be coarser. Let's try that one. Sounds coarser. Sounds different. Yeah, getting there. I got a burr here. None from here to here. I do have a burr from there. No burr in the back. I have a burr. And the burr is the metal that's pushed over from the outer edge when you reach the edge. Don't have it right there. Yep, burr all the way down. I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and bring this one to this point, the other blade, and then go back and work on my rod line again, and then go back and do like a regular convex edge sharpening. Vern Double. Not quite a tip, back here, which is the way it normally is because of the radius of shear, so you get the burr in the center, and then you kind of work your way back and work your way forward. So let's get this needle right here. I'm pretty much here, not way at the edge, just make sure it's right here. Then I might pull out and make sure I get that tip. Tippy tip I don't have, still a little bit more. Sharpened Vern Shears, put a comment below, or if you've used them. As far as I know, I have not seen them at the hair shows in years, but they did have a little wave of popularity. Your Belto said that he thought the company was out of business where he got his from. So I knocked off my burr, but I'm going to work this ride a little bit more. And I think I'm just going to keep it on the 1000 grit, because that'll give it a little bit more toothiness. Normally I would go, if I started with 1000 grit, I would go on to the 2000 or maybe even finer depending on the shears. Today I'm just going to make them cut. Let's see, what do I have here? I normally write, that's a worn 800. I probably need to have something coarser than that. This is a 600. Right, 600. And yeah, your problem is, for those of you that freehand, it would be hard to know, except by muscle memory, of what angle to bring them to. And even muscle memory is going to fool you, because you really don't want to bring them to where most shears are. So I'm creating another little burr, and I'm making this look smoother. And it's still going to look kind of bevelly, but it is what it is. I can kind of go in and reshape the face, make it a little bit thinner. I think that's good enough. And I don't think you need to watch me do the thinning shears. They're going to be basically the same technique as this. I just won't do the teeth side of them. Kind of going further back to make sure they're a good convex shape. Whoever sharpened them last took a lot of life off these shears. And as I remember, they were fairly expensive. I just couldn't find them on the internet anymore. Okay, that'll do. And I'm just knocking my burr off. It's gone. It's gone. And let me get my polishing pad. I'm working on some videos that are coming, because I've got some different types of polish I want to experiment with. I'm always experimenting with polish. But this one's got diamond spray, and then the white polishing compound, or rouge. We use the word rouge even if it's white or green or or blue. Rouge typically I think means red, but if it's applied like rouge. And I'm just wanting to kind of blend this out, knock any outside burr off. and make it look a little bit prettier. And I think I've accomplished that. And feeling a little roughness here, so I'm going to go over that with my nail buffer. Oh, yeah. So when I wipe them off with alcohol, I'm cleaning them off, but I'm also feeling them. And if it feels rough, I'm not wiping hard. I'm just gently here, and I feel it rough back there. And that's where we're having so much trouble getting that burr. That last sharpener created a dip. And I'm laughing because I have a Facebook group called Sharpeners Jam Chat. And I asked the sharpeners on there, what name should we call this? When someone comes in, they sharpen and they take out a big old gouge, or Jim Turner called it a sharpening plunge. Somebody else called it a gouge. I think Patrick, I liked his. He called it the dippity doodah. I think somebody called it the hook it slump, because if you're using the hook it abrasives and you press too hard back there, like I was talking to you about, you'll create it on a flat home. So when you see that slump, it's not always because it was from using a twice as sharp. Now once again, even on these, the square peg goes into the round hole. So this goes in here. If you can remember a square peg into the round hole, because I get confused myself, it will save you a lot of confusion and heartache. So I might just grab this here, and a regular screwdriver would have done fine. Nope. I have to get this to give some more torque. If you're going to cut yourself sharpening, it's going to be in this type of thing when you're testing them or you're putting them together. You're not going to cut yourself when you're actually sharpening. So I've got my really, really cheap toilet tissue, and I'm folding it in half. And I'm going to, even though I don't have them tight enough, I'm still going to cut. And then that way, I have really weak hands. You guys could do this so much easier than me. Okay, that may be about right. Oh, a little bit tighter. Double check the tip. The tip does come together. Oh, that feels pretty good. Man, let's see how this thing cuts. Might be pretty proud of myself. I'm usually proud of myself. I have a pretty healthy self-esteem, opinion of myself. You got to if you want to be a good sharpener. You got to convince your customers you're good at what you're doing. And that's good. Now that tells me it cuts tissue. Of course, that's not what he's cutting. He's going to be cutting hair. So I may want to have a little bit of hair. And this is synthetic, really cheapy hair. But nice crisp cut. It doesn't pull. He's going to be happy with these. Wasn't anything difficult about them except having to fix the last sharpening on them. So I think these will be ready to go back to Gilberto. And next time I think he'll know where to ship them to. And if you're not a sharpener, if you're a hairstylist and you're needing to get your shears sharpened, I'll have some, there's some links in the product thing where you can prepay to get your shears sharpened. But I really don't want your business. I really rather you give them to your local sharpener, somebody that has the right equipment's been trained, because they're going to be able to do you a better job than I will. And you don't have to worry about things going to the wrong location. or getting lost in the mail. Or we had a package just the other day that was going to Australia, and it bounced around, back and forth from Atlanta to Loganville. Never even made it out of Atlanta. And I think 3 times we had to mail that thing, and nothing was wrong with the postage, with the label, or anything. Just crazy stuff. So you're better off using local sharpeners if you can find someone that's good, but not anybody like the one that sharpened his shears last. Sorry. Hey y'all, I hope you're staying sharp. This is Bonnie Megowan, your red-headed sharpener here. And if you like this video, I try to post something every Monday. So make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you'd like to see more videos like this. If you're looking for the tools I used in this video, there's some product links and things in the description, and also you can go to the website www.bonika.com. If you've got questions or you want to connect with me personally, you can always put a comment below, but I've got a lot more links in the description below that will show you how to get in touch with me. I teach in person and online, as well as, of course, these YouTube videos. And let's connect, let's learn more about sharpening together.